Good afternoon, everybody. Are you excited to be here? I can't tell you how many people have asked me if I know what the book is. We've done a good job keeping it a secret, haven't we? So welcome to the One Book, One County Montcalm Kickoff celebration. I'm Shelley Springborn, and I'm the Communications Director here at Montcalm Community College. And we're really happy to have you all here on our beautiful Sydney campus today. Have you gotten any clues about what the book might be about when you look around the room? Any ideas out there? Let me tell you, one of the best things we did was move the kickoff to this campus today because we have this beautiful view out here that may or may not mirror the backdrop of the book. But that's all I'm going to tell you right now. So, did you know this year marks the 19th year of One Book, One County, Montcalm? So exciting. We did have a slide up, but in order to make our technology work, we've been having a little difficulty today. So we took the slide down, but we had all 19 titles, actually 18 of the 19 titles on. But One Book, One County started 19 years ago, and Mrs. Maureen Burns is here in the room, and she was the founder of One Book. Maureen, would you give everybody a wave? Let me just say, I came here in 2007, and I got to start working with Maureen that year. So I'm loud. Can you hear me for a minute? So I got to start working with Maureen that year on One Book, One County, and it's been quite a ride. We had a lot of fun doing it through the years. And Maureen, I can't remember which year you retired. Was it when the Lost Boys were here?
It was 10, I did it 10 years, so whatever 10
years.
Was.
So Maureen retired after 10 years, and it became a committee comprised. The committee was always comprised of some of the local libraries as well as community members. But at that time, it really became a committee comprised of all the local libraries in Montcalm County and Montcalm Community College. Thank you. So at this time, my left turn. At this time, I'd like to introduce the library directors. And I just want to say, first off, it's been a real pleasure working with these ladies this year. Our library director here moved on in the spring, and a couple of the higher-ups came to my office and said, should we continue this? Should the college continue? And I said, of course we should. And they were fully aware of what a wonderful partnership it is. So I got the pleasure of coming onto the committee and working with a bunch of wonderful library directors throughout the county from all of your areas. So I'd like to start with Beth O'Grady here up front. She's the director of Carson City and Crystal Library. Over here is Steph Reed. She's the director of the Flat River Community Library in Greenville. In the back we have Janelle Ball, and she is the director of the Home Township Library in Edmore. We also have Lisa Johnson from the Montcalm Community College Library, and I'm not sure if Sonia made it today.
She's not here.
She's not, okay. And Sonia also in our library has been a lot of help getting things ready. Sherma Troop here from the director of the Richland Township Library in Westford. Cheryl Smith, director of the Timothy D. Howenstein Reynolds Township Library in Howard City. Back here in the back in the red, we have Deanna Riggleman, director of the Tamarack District Library in Lakefield. And up front, we have Jessica Hansen, director of the White Pine District Library in Stevens. So speaking of Jessica, I just want you all to look around the room and look at your tables. Jessica and her staff at the White Pine Library put together all of the table decorations and all the decorations for the room. And I think they did a fabulous job. We also have some FCC employees here that I would like to recognize. This is really a team effort. Julie Stockwell in the back has been instrumental in helping get things set up. Lexi Barnwell, Renee Gould, Kirk Kemperman over here on the camera, Kurt does all of our design work, so everything that you received today, all the informational pieces and stuff, Kurt is responsible and does a wonderful job for us. And Hopi is here. She is our IT lady, and we are just forever grateful to her for being here today. And Michelle Nielsen in back helps set the room up and just really helps keep things going for us. So finally, I'd like to say a special thank you to Montcalm Community College and especially the MCC Foundation. Lisa London, back in the black, is here. She's Executive Director of the Foundation. And the Foundation generously supports One Book, One County Montcalm and pays for the programming. So a special thank you to the Foundation and to the college for really believing in the community and giving back to the community and the partnerships that we have. So does anybody want to venture a guess of what the book might be? Okay, so in case you don't want to guess, we're going to let Becca Grady come up. Becca's going to give you a few clues. You have a guess? Yell it out loud. Maybe a little camping in book, or a little rustic nature. That's going to give you a few clues.
Thank you very much, Shelley, and thank you to Shelley Springborn, the MCC crew, and all the other librarians. And thank you very much to all of you who are here today. Without you, this isn't a success. I'm not going to tell you what the title is. I'm just going to give you the tease here. Some people choose to live off the grid. They may be individuals who crave the challenge of carving an existence out of the wilderness. Some may feel a disdain for society, or others may just feel an overwhelming love for the natural world. Some people may be forced to live off of the grid. They may have a secret that must be hidden, and so they seclude themselves deep in the woods. They may be individuals who have been touched by tragedy and trauma, or maybe a father whose immense love for his child drives him from civilization to a precarious refuge. A father living with his young child in a remote cabin with no connection to the outside world can be a precarious situation, especially when they are not as alone as they would like to be. So there's a teaser. Some of you may have read this book. And now I would like to introduce Jessica Hansen, who is going to help us with another person unveil the title.
Hello, we're so excited to be here. I'm going to just give you, just a second. All right, we have someone who's been on our library board for a very, very long time. And I'm going to ask Jackie Kemmler to come on up. She's going to help us do the unveiling. But first I want to give just a little bit of history upon Jackie, as she has recently retired from our board in December. And she was on our library board for 45 years. In 1979, a longtime board member, Margie Triplett, had retired from the board, and she asked Jackie to be her replacement. And so there's where her story began. And after 45 years, 35 of those she served as our secretary of the board. She has been through 5 library directors. She helped hire me. She collaborated on 3 building projects, the last one of which we just moved into last summer. She says she was inspired to join the White Pine District Library Board because of her passion for reading and her desire to give back to the community. Well, you certainly did that. She was new to the area, and it provided opportunities to meet community members and business owners, and libraries play a crucial role in providing access to knowledge and fostering a love for learning, and she wanted to contribute to that mission. She said serving on the library board has been an incredibly rewarding It has given me the opportunity to work with a dedicated team, make meaningful decisions, and benefit our community, and see firsthand the positive impact the library has on people's lives. Jackie, you have certainly made an impact on our community as well. All right, and without further ado, I'm going to hand the mic back to Shelley.
All right, drum roll please. 1, 2, 3. Can you all see it? These Silent Woods by Kimmy Cunningham Grant is the 2024 selection for One Book, One County, Montcalm. Have any of you read it? So now that you know what the book is, I have to do a little teaser for it. In the back of the room today, only for you, we have it deeply, deeply discounted if you'd like to purchase a copy. Cash, check, or credit card, it's $11 today only. Retail on it is about $18, so it's a very good discount. But also, all of the libraries who are partnering in One Book, One County have it available for checkout at their libraries. So you can go to your local library and also get a copy of the book to read. So, there's even one. Yeah. I can't remember the name of it. The Nature of Disappearing. Okay. So Kimmy Cunningham Clark is also going to be our closing program on September 26th. And these ladies are going to be passing out to you bookmarks with a little trinket on them, actually a fun little compass, and also a brochure that tells where all of the book discussions are, as well as the details of the closing. And any of you that are on our mailing list, you will receive a postcard about the closing. And also on your tables is a form. If you are not on our mailing list, if you would like to be added, would you please give us your address and your name and your contact information, and we will do that so that we can keep our mailing list updated and you get the information you'd like to know about One Book. So now I have the fun pleasure of introducing our speaker today. We had a lot of questions about whether the book this year was by Brooke Whipple, because Brooke, Stanton native, is going to be talking with you about the impossible question and how to answer it. But before I bring her up here, if you follow Brooke, you know that she's chased down wilderness adventures from Alaska to Mongolia. I know firsthand that Brooke has always been an adventurer and has a deep love for the great outdoors. Brooke and I grew up together in Stanton, around the corner from each other, and I can remember going to her house one day, and we go out in the woods behind your house looking for stuff. I don't know what we were looking for. We were doing something. Anyway, that was Brooke. That's what she's always been about that. And I was laughing today. She doesn't remember this, but I distinctly remember my first cross-country skiing experience was with Brooke here on the nature trails when we were students here a few years ago. Several years ago, before the nature trails were groomed. But when she took off to Alaska for the first time, I think you must have just been out of college. And it didn't surprise any of us because Brooke's an adventurer. So what she's going to share with you today, I can tell you that I know firsthand and can't reiterate to you enough that this is who Brooke is, and we're really excited to have her here. Any of you that have followed her know that she's been on Alone twice, and you kind of remember running the National Geographic Channel. She also has her own YouTube channel and does lots of adventures, lives part-time in Reed City, part-time in Alaska, and just is really out doing a lot of fun stuff. So, with no further ado, please help me welcome Brooke Whipple.
A few years ago, my husband and I were laying at the top floor of a very, very beautiful wilderness retreat on the edge of British Columbia, Canada, right outside of Vancouver Island. We had just had the best gourmet meal. We had just had great conversation and entertainment with our new friends. We're laying there listening to the rain just pour down onto that metal roof of this beautiful wilderness lodge. And I couldn't help but think, what in the world did I get myself into? Because as cozy and warm and delightful as I was in that moment, tomorrow, the very next day, I would be dropped completely alone into the wilderness with only 10 items to survive. And he would also be dropped with 10 items. And he would have to hike to me on the opposite side of the island. We were on a show called Alone on the History Channel. Alone is a show where you are allowed to pick 10 items to survive off the land for as long as you possibly can. Here's the catch. The last person standing wins $500,000. We were in it to win it. But I look outside the window of that beautiful lodge, and there's nothing but deep darkness, extreme isolation, nothing I was familiar with. I'm from Stanton. There's no rainforest here. There's no mountains. But it was so exciting. So the next morning, Whirlybird comes around, I get in a chopper, they drop me off completely alone. The show is not filmed by a film crew. We filmed the show completely ourselves. We have 2 cameras, GoPros, trail cams, and all the media we could ever have to film this show. We are making the show. There is no film crew that comes along with you. You are truly alone. Now for this special season of Alone, they did a family members show. So they wanted 2 people to come together. We were the only husband and wife team. But in a twist at the last moment, they decided they weren't going to drop us together. They were going to drop me and then going to drop Dave at a different location. He was going to have to find me by hiking to me. We had no idea what that meant. But if you've ever seen the coastal rainforest of British Columbia, you would know that it is virtually impenetrable. And my husband had to hike to find me. He didn't know where I was, I didn't know where he was. So, for 8 days, I waited for him to show. Day after day, I was like, where is he? This is insane. And now, I want to show you the moment he finds me.
Just haven't seen you.
What a great reception. Oh.
You think?
Oh, I smell like a dead pig.
You've lost weight.
You look fantastic.
Well, thanks for the moment of confidence. I can't believe I'm here. Would you like to see your home?
Let's go.
I've been working really hard to get this set up for you so you can rest. Oh, this is our meadow.
Love the meadow.
Isn't it cool?
This is the most beautiful place I've seen since I got dropped off.
This is our hobbit hole.
I love it.
You can take your pack off now. This is home.
Finally, I'm done. And I can take this wet black t-shirt off for the last friggin' time.
You're so skinny.
Oh, I'm so happy now. Hate you, black shirt. I don't really mean it. I'll dry you out. We'll be cool again. We can be friends. That's it. I'm home. Oh, man, this is awesome. This is so sweet. Check that out. She's got an indoor fire pit. That's a woman. This is super cool. I love this. Do I have to get up in the morning and walk 10 miles?
Maybe you can sleep in.
Wow. I get to sleep in.
But after you cut us some firewood and catch fish.
Struggle was real out there. We were definitely in it to win. And so our strategy was really not to extrapolate anything until we got to our site to see what we had to deal with. We weren't going to say, we're going to go and do this, and we're going to catch a million fish, and we're going to get crabs, and we're going to, shoot a deer. Like, we didn't know what we were dealing with. So we really needed an open mind going in there. And time would come on, time would go. And how the show works is they show up on you randomly to take your media from you, because you are building the show. It's the most valuable asset they have. They come and grab your media, give you fresh batteries. They really try to keep it as authentic as possible and not interact with you. You'd be like, hey, let's chat. And they'd be like, peace out. One time, a couple of camera guys came in. I'm like, dudes, you had bacon this morning. I can smell it. No, we didn't. So it was kind of, it was hard. They really did want you to have an isolated experience. And you lose so much weight. It can be up to a pound a day. So over time, you can see how that gets to be a very difficult situation. We were approaching a red line with my weight. One day they showed up, and they were carrying this box, and it looked like a pizza box. Dave's like, they brought us pizza. And he got up there and he says, oh, you guys here to see us? And they said, yeah, we're here to weigh her. So they had a scale. And they had been doing medical checks as we went. And, they warned us that I was approaching a red line. So things were getting very desperate. We're now into mid-December, and there's nothing to eat. It's getting dire. So we do a Hail Mary and think, Dave made a crab pot, so we decided to throw that out and see what we could get. So we'll see if what happened here.
All hope is pinned on the crab pot. It's our last chance for food.
There's nothing. and one crab in it. It's a snail trap. That's trying to eat giant snails, I guess.
Beggars can't be choosers.
Guess not. Well, I never saw that coming. 15 pounds of snails. I don't even know what to think.
There's a lot of meat there.
It is. I'll throw a pot back in.
We just threw one on the fire. We're gonna see how it does.
Got in its own pot. Boil it in its own shell. Super edible, I guess.
Holy cow. The rest of that is meat.
Did you get a bite off it? Or is it like super hot?
It's just got a really odd flavor that I've never tasted before.
Is it any good?
It's a giant snail. It's kind of rubbery. Well, it's really rubbery. Giant hairy snails. It's not going to sustain us. I don't know what's going to happen. Or when. Or what we're going to do if we can't get enough food. There's going to come a time when we're not going to be able to stay here. We gotta eat, and it's just not enough.
So you know what those snails tasted like? They tasted like bile. Yeah, I'm glad we didn't eat anymore because it turns out they were poisonous, as you saw, and that wouldn't have been good. And at that point, my stomach and my guts were rejecting pretty much everything. So I had one last thought, just going to go back out to the rocks. I'm going to stand there, and I'm going to fish. We did this every day. We would fish at low tide. In this particular moment, we're 6 weeks into this. I'm skin and bones. He's skin and bones. A little less bones. And I'm just out on the rocks fishing. And now what we would use for fishing was a hand line. This is the actual one that I used on the show. This is just carved from a piece of driftwood, and then you tie your line to it, and then you wind it out, and it'll go into the water. So I stood at the edge of that drop-off where we would fish, and all I was getting was just these little nibbles of fish. It seems like we had caught all the fish in the whole ocean by that point, because I would smash open a clam, put it on my hook, and these little nibblers would come out there and just rob it every single time. It was so defeating. I was so tired. I was so hungry. And I just stood there motionless, thinking, what are we going to do? And right at that moment, something caught my eye. And below me on the rocks comes something I've never seen before. A giant Pacific octopus was coming out of the water below me onto the rocks. Now, two things happened in that moment. One, I'm from Stanton. I've never seen one of these in the wild, only in an aquarium or something like that. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. The second thing I thought was, I'm going to eat you. So I had an impossible
impossible question to answer. How do I catch this octopus? I had two choices. My hand line with my one precious hook, or there was a stick that just happened to be lying there on the rocks. Stick or hook, stick or hook, and this is all happening in a nanosecond. But more impossible questions were coming to me, like, can I actually catch this octopus? How do you catch an octopus? If I get the octopus, what do I do with it then? How do I kill an octopus? Well, how do you cook an octopus? What is this octopus going to taste like? Am I filming this? Do I have this in frame? Because producers hounded it into us. If you don't film it, it didn't happen. All of these impossible questions all at once. And I decide, I'm going for the stick. So I grab the stick and I jump down to where the octopus is. This is a delicate situation because I am on the edge of a probably 30-foot drop straight into the Pacific Ocean. No one's going to be there to save me if I fall in. Nobody. When I'm in the heat of the moment, game on. And my thought is, I'm going to take this stick, I'm going to shove it up under this octopus, fling it back to the top of the rocks about 10 feet, and then, I don't know, stab it? I still had to figure all this out. So, put my stick under it, and boy, was I surprised how big and how strong that octopus was. And it's got 6 more legs than I do, trying to get back into the water. I was like, okay, try again. This time, something even more incredible happened. It squirted ink. I was like, you know how to dazzle a Midwest girl. Not only did it have more legs, but it was way smarter than me. And that ink was mesmerizing. Whoa! And it kept getting closer and closer back to the water. I was inching my toes to the edge, and I knew I had to let go and stop fighting. And I watched that big, beautiful octopus disappear into the dark abyss, never to be seen again. I was exhausted. I thought, that means tonight is another night of maybe scraping something off the bottom of a rock, maybe trying to choke down some more seaweed, things that were now making me gag at the thought. Well, maybe I got it on film. So I went and checked my camera. Not a chance. Camera was way out of film. I was way down below the rocks. So like the producer said, it never happened. The impossible question of could I catch an octopus and eat it was answered. But the bigger question of can we win $500,000 was yet to be determined. Now, as Shelley mentioned, my first college experience was here at MCC. And I'm going to tell you, I was 100% distracted. I was here thinking this was going to be easy. This was going to be what I would start with. And I had no idea what I wanted to be when I grew up. No one ever really sat down and walked me through that whole college thing. What is that all about? I wanted to be an adventurer, but there's really no college track for that. And the internet wasn't around. There's no YouTube. There's not, like, that doesn't exist. So I thought, well, elementary school teacher. Yeah, I like kids. That'll work. Tried that for a while. I was like, well, maybe not. Maybe criminal justice. My dad was a cop, and I thought, I like the outdoors. I could maybe be a CO, a conservation officer. Get me out in the wilderness, be one of those people. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. wildlife biologist. Hey, there's something, that's kind of outdoorsy and animals. But then I found out I had to have all these math classes. And I withdrew failing twice from MCC with my algebra class. So that wasn't going to work. But you know what I was doing here most of the time? Playing ping pong. I was skipping class to play ping pong here at MCC. You know, when you're paying for your own college education, it's not really a great idea. But one day, I was walking through, I don't even know what building, and I saw a poster hanging up on the side of the wall that said, "Jobs in Yellowstone National Park." That is calling me. I needed to get out of Montcalm County. I needed to see other things and do other things. And I thought, maybe, just maybe, I can make a trip to Yellowstone and get a job there. I called my friend, like, listen, you're applying, I'm applying, we're getting jobs at Yellowstone National Park. We're out of here, okay? She's like, all right. We both got jobs. And I took my very first road trip out of the state of Michigan to Yellowstone National Park with my best friend. And boy, did I have some adventures. It was like a world had opened up to me. No offense to MCC, okay? But I needed to go somewhere else. Wonderful, wonderful things happened to me. I got to see some of this wilderness that I just really craved. And I just had the best time. You had to get out of your cabin and look both ways for the Buckies. They were cruising around all the time. Yellowstone's where I became a big fan of gig work. Next stop was Vail, Colorado, because it was winter time. Summer season in Yellowstone was over. Now it was on to Vail, Colorado. I got a job as a lift operator. So this gig work was working out. I got to ski for free in Vail, Colorado. Do you know where I learned to ski? Cannonsburg. So this Stanton girl was getting pretty impressed by the west and the mountains. Look at those hot pink pants. But I am in the mountains having fun. Next thing I want to do is go see something else. I really wanted to see Montana. So I got a job as a wildland firefighter. Now, girls at that point weren't doing a lot of this kind of work, but I met this gal. She was a track star at her college. And you know, to be a wildland firefighter, you have to pass physical tests. So we smoked it in the mile, smoked all the guys, and we made the crew. So it was me and her on the crew and a bunch of other people, and we did all kinds of project work throughout Montana and Oregon. And it was just a fantastic time. I'm just addicted to hard work. I literally love hard work and physical labor. So it was a really good fit for me. And in a way, again, to have room and board and a job, and you get to see things at the same time. I had the craziest crew boss. One day he says to me, we're on this job, he says, come here, you gotta meet somebody. I go, what? I go up to this guy, he says, this is Mark. Mark says, hi, I'm Mark, will you marry me? What the heck? And they're giggling, laughing. His last name was Trout. I would have been Brooke Trout. That same crew boss put a just beheaded rattlesnake on my shoulder one day and thought that was cool. Because you know they're still moving even when you chop the head off. I mean, that guy. One day though, we were up on this project in Oregon, top of the hill. I gotta pee real bad. The crew boss is giving us the breakdown for the day. I'm like sneaking off. Take my hard hat off. Go squat down. And then there's morels everywhere. See, I'm filling my hard hat, and I'm like, I don't want to go back to the meeting. for the day, like I'm filling my hard hat. I found morels that day the size of cans of corn, and that's a loaf of bread. And notice the really fancy trailer wallpaper. Yeah, Montana was a great time. I had all kinds of adventures. I learned a few things. Get a dog. And add a hat. A hat has become kind of my signature thing. But you know, everything gets complicated really quickly. That's just how life is. And I had a difficult relationship. I ended up back in Michigan with my tail between my legs, and I really felt lost once again. And so the impossible question was still looming for me. What am I going to do with my life? Where am I going to be? I failed algebra twice. I didn't even get a degree from NCC. What am I going to do? So I want to ask you guys right now, if you have a pen and paper, I want you to think about what is something impossible right now that you have, and I want you to name it. Because when you name it, you start to own it, and it starts to change everything. So if you have a pen and paper right now, think of one thing. I want you to write down something impossible in your life that you think is impossible. Bookmark that. We're going to come back to that. So for me, Alaska was still, it was calling. I was ready to get out of Dodge once again. This is an actual picture that my mom took of me the day I left Michigan and flew to Alaska. I had a backpack, a tent, I had a coat there, and whatever's in that backpack. I bought a one-way plane ticket to Anchorage, Alaska, and my destination was going to be Homer, Alaska. I had no job. I had $200 to my name, no place to live, no plans. I just had to get to Alaska. It was the place that I really needed to be. So I landed in the airport, and I took a shuttle to Homer the next morning. And on the way there, I remember thinking, what am I going to do? Like, I have no plan. So I asked the shuttle driver, like, you got any idea where I should stay the night? And he's like, oh yeah, there's this bed and breakfast. She does like a hostel, like a bunk bed, and for $15 you get a bunk and a breakfast. I'm like, take me there. That's the last cheap deal I would ever find in Alaska again. So I settled in, had a great meal, and met this wonderful lady. And I thought, she's got this nice piece of property. What if I ask if maybe she could let me stay on her property in my tent in exchange for, I would do whatever it takes at the bed and breakfast. I could clean, I could cook, I could do whatever. Just let me stay on your land. I let her warm up to me for a couple of days. She's like, yeah, okay, we can do that. So I had a place to live. There it is. That's my tent. So my next problem was I had a place to live, but and I had a job, but it didn't pay, so I needed another job, but I needed some wheels. So I bought a bike with my next $50. So it was either walking or biking, and then I needed a job. Now Homer has what's called the Spit, and that's out into Ketchimak Bay, and like where everyone lives is kind of the mainland. So every day I would take my bike and ride that 5 miles of Spit, and I got a job at this pork shed, selling everything but rockets and mortars for killing fish. It was a wonderful place to be and land in Alaska. I made lots of good friends and had lots of good adventures. So what I've learned is you have to just say yes. You have to say yes to this. You got to get uncomfortable. Nothing happens, no growth happens when you're stagnant and when you're not challenging yourself. So for me, getting uncomfortable was starting to become a thing. And it was getting me places. Dave and I married, and we lived in Alaska for 14 years. And this is our first home. We built this 12 by 12 log cabin, and our daughter was 6 months old, lived in there with us until she was 6 months old, and we built another log home. But this is how you have to start when it's uncomfortable. You remember that tent you saw in the previous slide? We lived in that tent while we built that cabin. And we had no money. So those logs came off our property, and we learned that doing things the hard way, uncomfortable, with no money, with our own hands, gave us so much freedom and so many possibilities. We built a couple other homes in Alaska, and we still spend our summers there now. But it taught us so much about getting uncomfortable. I read the book Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter, which is a great book. I highly recommend it. And this is what he has to say about getting uncomfortable.
In the Comfort Crisis, I traveled to Bhutan. Now, Bhutan is really interesting because as far as GDP goes, it is way down the list of countries. I mean, it's like 160 something out of 180. There's not a Starbucks, McDonald's, Burger King in the country. There's not even a stoplight in the entire freaking country. So they don't have all these comforts and advancements that we have. When Japanese researchers do extensive studies on happiness, they find that Bhutan consistently ranks in the top 20 happiest countries. And a lot of that is because of some of the hardships that they face. For example, they spend a lot more time in nature. They also, relevant to this show, they don't have debt. So they don't have medical debt because that's all taken care of. They all tend to own their land. They also are cognizant of the fact that we're all going to die. So death is sort of woven into the country. So people are told to think about their death at least once a day. Now that is an uncomfortable thing to do, right? That is the most uncomfortable thought that a human being could have. But by going through that, you find that people start to get happier because it makes you make different decisions, right? If you realize that the ride's going to end, you're going to ride the ride differently. So when I was there, I traveled to meet this guy who's a Kempo. His name is Kempo Punchotachi. You can think about a Kempo as being kind of like a cardinal, but in Buddhism. And he lives up on this mountain, and we have to take this like dirt road, just a 4x4 road, and we're in a smart car, so it's like, you know, the greatest adventure ever. The driver's just like, so I had to buy the guy a new bumper. So I get up there, and it's also something like it's out of a movie. Right? I get up to this shack on the side of the cliff, and this woman takes me through this like sort of cleansing ritual. I walk into the house. The first room, there's literally nothing in it. There's no running water in this place. I walk into the second room. It's this kitchen with a cooktop, bucket system for water, a couple tools, and I'm just like, let's try door number 3. So it's like this silk orange drape. I like peel back the drape and I look, and there's this big statue of the Buddha sitting there with like incense, and there's a window and there's light coming through the window catching the smoke, and you know my head is turning, and then I just see this face. And the Kempo is sitting in the lotus position on a meditation platform, and he's got the orange robes, he's got the beads, he's got the shaved head, and he just turns his head slowly and just goes, "Welcome. I hear you want to talk about death." Just like, oh, holy hell. So I sit down there and I talk about death with him, and after about an hour, he puts it like this. He goes, "I want you to picture that you are walking on a trail. And at the end of this trail is a cliff." He goes, "Okay, the catch is that the cliff is death." He goes, "And guess what? Right now, you are walking on that trail. We're walking on it right now." And he looks at me and he goes, "Don't you want to know that there's a cliff?" Because once you know that there's a cliff and you realize that, you're going to walk the trail differently. I mean, you're going to walk it slower. You're going to maybe have different conversations with the people you're walking with. You're going to stop and smell the flowers on the side of the trail. So once you start to realize that you're going to die eventually, you walk the trail a little differently. And that changes your behavior and makes people happier in the long run.
So I've always really embraced just, my husband gives me such a hard time about like how much I pack into my days. He's like, you do it to yourself. I'm like, I know, but like, I just can't help myself. I want to live as absolutely full of a life as I possibly can. So I found this really interesting thing the other day. Check this out. There is a company called 4K Weeks. They say that the average lifespan is like, I think they're going by like 76 or 88. I can't remember. You can kind of customize it, but if you're optimistic. So every dot represents a week, and you can have one of these posters that just hangs in your house or wherever to kind of motivate you, to tell you like, you know, time does not wait for you with your impossible decisions and your impossible questions. You kind of need to get on it. And it doesn't matter how young you are or how old you are. I just thought this is a kind of a fascinating reminder. So, one of my biggest things is just say yes, and then keep it real. So I got asked again to go on alone, season 5. So 9 months after I had left and starved on season 4, I was asked to go back. And how could I say no? They were like, we're going to Mongolia. I'm like, are you kidding? Of course I want to go to Mongolia. So there I am. There's the crew. So it was all past participants this time. And what was really striking about this time is season 4, you know, when it's all new, you're like, rah! They're like, the helicopter's coming. It's like, no, we're all together. It's awesome. Helicopter came this time to take us to location. Everyone was like, crap. You know, we all know what's coming. It's just a sufferfest. But again, there's no way I'm going to say no. I'm in Mongolia experiencing the lifestyle and culture of the Mongolian people who still have a nomadic lifestyle, living in gurs with their animals, and it's really fascinating. So I'm going to give you a little insight into my time in Mongolia and how that panned out for me.
All right, so welcome to the Green Glow Psych Ward.
I'd rather be just about anywhere but inside this shelter right now.
Training days are brutal. It's cold. I don't want to go outside. I don't want to be in here.
And it's just a monotonous day. It's going to be tough.
Need my blue sky for my mental health. How in the world did I survive Vancouver Island? I don't know. Got a white tarp for one thing. Huge difference. White tarp. Not this green psych ward shelter I'm living in. It's not good. Not good for the mind.
Just sitting here staring at the fire, hoping the rain slows down or stops today at some point so I can get outside.
I'm pretty sick of myself. Yep. Had all about enough of me as I could stand. Woo, it's a party. Party of one. That's me. No. I don't think it's, the rain is lightening up at all. I don't think the sky is either. It's my wishful imagination. I'm not sure how much more I can handle today. Hey guys. Turns out I'm pretty sick of hanging out with myself. Man, I'm pretty lonely. It gets to you after a while. Just the quiet of not sharing the experience, it just kind of eats away at you. And starving sucks. It has been so incredibly humbling to go through this twice. I feel like this time, because I was alone instead of with Dave, it's a bit of a redemption. It's a bit of a chance to prove on my own the skills that I have. But there is this recollection of Vancouver Island. I don't want to go there again. I don't want to get that hungry again. This is enough hungry. This is enough cold. This is enough loneliness. It's enough of the green monster. It's like, okay, this is over. Leave with a smile on my face. And that's what I choose.
So I lasted 28 days in Mongolia. I was losing weight at a faster clip than Vancouver Island. I figured I had about 4 more days and I'd be at the same weight I was in Vancouver. So it's not a good long game for thinner people. So my takeaway a lot of times that I tell myself is to shut up and do something. If you say you're going to do something, actually take action. Because if you don't start climbing, if you don't take any steps to do this impossible thing, you're never gonna get there. And you're gonna have all kinds of faces while you do that. But you might have questionable faces, you might have disappointing faces, you might even have a storm face. But eventually, you might get some of these too, which are the best moments. So you have to name the impossible. You have to get uncomfortable. And you have to shut up and do something. And those things have kind of defined my life, and that's what I'd love for you to take away today. Because it will snowball in your life. Once you start to do things that you thought were impossible, like you won't even recognize yourself. Here are some, this is just a quick rundown of some things that I would have never thought were possible in my life that became possible. I got to work at the Alaska Raptor Rehabilitation Center and was holding this eagle one day, and Barbara Walters walked in. So bizarre. Dave and I got to caretake this remote homestead at the end of the Alaska Peninsula for 7 months. And the most stunning landscape, the most lonesome landscape. I got to see killer whales and sneak up on caribou. I got to meet this guy, Neil Eklund in Alaska, who hired me to work on this log raft He's the only guy in the world making these kind of log rafts going down the Yukon River, or any river for that matter. Best amazing experience of my life. Can you even imagine? We would take guests down the Yukon River. I would help cook, and I would help take people fishing. Things that I would have never thought were possible in my life. I discovered a race in Seward called the Mount Marathon, and that is Mount Marathon, that mountain there. And it starts at the level of the town, and then you go to the top of the mountain and come back. It's stupid crazy. And I ran it one year, and I thought, nobody sees this race. You only have spectators, obviously, at the bottom of town. So I thought, I want to make a documentary about this race. I was just starting to learn filmmaking skills, and I went ahead and ran the race again. I've got a helmet cam on there. I also had a camera I was carrying. I hired 2 camera guys, and I made a documentary called The Mount Marathon Experience. I had no experience at all with making a documentary. And there's something called the Rasmussen Foundation in Alaska. It's kind of an arts foundation, and you apply for grants. And I said, hey, you know, I'm a nobody making this documentary. Can I win some money? And they're like, no. and so I went ahead and did the documentary anyway. I spent all my own money and did all the things. And I came back the next year and I said, hey, I actually did that thing. Can I have some money now? And they said, well, yeah, I think you can. And I got a $5,000 grant because I actually followed through with what I said I was going to do, even though I had no idea what I was doing. It was an impossible ask, and it still happened. I won the Alaska State Blueberry Pie Championship. And a few years ago for Thanksgiving, I made 128 pies in 2 days to sell commercially. And then herniated a disc trying to get some pies out of the oven that day. I was on the couch for a week, so those impossible things happen. And then around comes National Geographic going, hey, you want to build that log raft again? And we'll do a show on it. So here we are again with family and Neil and his son once again getting to go down the Yukon River in a raft in this absolutely beautiful setting. All the building that Dave and I have done over the years, I've never done anything solo, and I said, I want to build my own cabin. I did it. And then I put a well in. There's my sweet dog lady. And then I built a bardo. And my skills just keep getting further and further. I built a truck camper. And then I decided, I did that in the middle of winter, and said, let's try it out camping. And that was 17 below. Well, I don't recommend that. Helped renovate this cabin. I built this mini bardo. Just the impossibility of being in midlife thinking, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. And it actually works. And I'm called Girl in the Woods. And the crazy thing that happens as soon as you get on the internet is you get lots of comments. Lots of crazy comments, and mostly it's about Bigfoot. So I have to answer a lot of crazy comments all the time. And I even had somebody turn me into a cartoon character. And then they turned my dog into a cartoon character. And I've had incredible adventures. And one year I decided I wanted to do 100 push-ups a day for a year. And I missed 1 day for the flu. And I missed 7 days because of severe elbow tendonitis. But that year, I did 35,700 push-ups. I wrote a book. I taught myself how to write a book proposal in librarians. I wrote this book in the Fairbanks Public Library, the entire thing. And so I learned how to write a book proposal and sell my book idea to get a book deal. Something I thought was completely impossible. But I did it. A self-published book. And now I'm attempting to build my own log cabin. These logs are drying right now. And the impossibility of marrying somebody and still being married 27 years later is a gift. And birthing 2 children without medication, underwater. Of course, they were underwater, not me. And then the improbable conceivable impossibility that 20 years later I would be opening a coffee house with my daughter, and my son, 20 years later, is also betting on Alaska. He's living back in his home state, making a go of things on his own, just like I did. Something I thought was incredibly impossible. So, the last amazing thing that I never thought would be possible is this, that I could fail algebra 3 times. Because I also failed it at another university. And then, get asked back to give an inspirational speech.